Welcome back to another episode of the Digital Lounge podcast. If you're new here, my name's Jess. I'm a web designer for online business owners. And today I want to talk to you about managing multiple offers within your business. And today, when I'm talking about multiple offers, I'm really including even your free stuff like podcast, Facebook group, Instagram, your email list. I'm not just talking about things that people can buy, but really anything that people can follow, download, join, subscribe, and buy. So, I wanted to talk about this because I know a lot of my clients have multiple things they're juggling in their business, and it can feel overwhelming to know how to manage it all and market it well. And at the end, I'm going to also talk about how you can even manage this on your website as well. So, first, I want you to think about the order in which you want to have people move through your offers in your business. So, again, we're including the free things as well. So, let's say you have a podcast and that podcast is really how you nurture people. They get on your email list, they buy from you, they join your Facebook group, whatever it is. But you're like, the podcast is the winner in my business. Or maybe you're like, no, it's my Facebook group is where people join, they get to know me. I go live in there and they learn a lot. And, that's the winner because there people then join my email list or they hire me or whatever it is. So you want to think about the order in which you want people to move through your business because wherever you want people to start, whether it's your podcast, your Facebook group, whatever, that's going to be the thing you want to emphasize the most in your marketing. Not to say that you can't also promote your one-to-one services and things like that, but if you're a guest on a podcast, usually the host, will be like, where can we learn more? How can we connect with you? How can we work with you? You can say, "Oh, I, really have a great Facebook group. It's free. You can join there." But also I have a podcast and, one-to-one clients. You can find all that information on my website, but my Facebook group is really where it's at. So you can emphasize that and then kind of just casually mention your other offers. And that's going to help people kind of trickle through your business in a way that makes sense. And you can mention your other things. So hopefully wherever you're starting, hopefully early on, they're also getting on your email list. So maybe you're starting with the Facebook group, but then you really, maybe you require that they join your email list, or maybe you just talk about your email list in there or something like that. But your email list can also serve as a way to make people aware of your other things. So, for instance, let's say, again, they're starting in the Facebook group, then they join your email list. In your nurture sequence, you could make people aware of, hey, I also have a podcast. Come follow me on Instagram. Like you can do that with that nurture sequence. So you don't have to constantly blast all of your offers every single week because you can really focus on get in my Facebook group, then you'll get on my email list. Then through that, you'll find out more about my one-to-one offers, my podcast, my digital products, my course, etc. So think about how do I want people to move through my offers and what order makes sense, right? So then after you figure out that order, I want you to also think about your audience, right? So you might be, again, let's say you're on a podcast and the podcast host is like, oh, my audience is a lot of beginners. They're really just starting on this journey. Okay, great. Then you can tailor your content that way. But then you can also know, okay, my beginners really would benefit from joining my Facebook group or, being on my podcast, whatever. You could change, if you're like, oh, like the Facebook group is really not for beginners, they really need to be on my email list first or something like that. And you could even tailor and have different welcome sequences. So let's say you're going to be on a podcast. So you have this freebie that's great for beginners. You could kind of tweak your nurture sequence. You don't have to have a whole new one, but maybe you tweak it so that it's geared more towards beginners. then you can say, hey, I also have a podcast. These are some really great episodes to start with if you're new to this journey, if you're new to this industry, this world, whatever you want to say. And then they could join your Facebook group more towards the end. Maybe in that fifth or sixth email, you're like, hey, if you didn't know, I also have a Facebook group. That way, they're not joining the Facebook group and feeling overwhelmed because they're like, wait, I'm totally new to this. It seems like everyone else in here is really experienced. They are not new to this journey. So that's why you want to think about your audience, who you're talking to, not just your own audience, but really thinking about when you're, being a guest on podcasts, you write a guest blog post, you do a workshop for someone else's community, anything like that. Think about that intended audience and even ask that podcast host or the, membership owner and ask them, what's your audience like? Like, tell me about them. Where are they at in their business or their life? I just had a guest last week do a workshop about LinkedIn inside the Better Collective, my membership community. And she asked me, like, tell me about the group. Where are they at in their business? What industries are they in? Because she wanted to make sure that she was tailoring her content to really serve my audience the best. That way, she wasn't just doing the basics of LinkedIn, because we were all mostly pretty familiar with LinkedIn. It wasn't like, oh, I don't even have a profile. What is LinkedIn? She knew she could skip the basics and get into the more detailed information. I do the same thing when I do workshops for other masterminds and memberships. I say, like, tell me about your audience. Do they have websites? Do they don't have a website at all? Are they really just concerned about how to optimize it? Can I skip the basics? That way, obviously, it helps people. I don't skip over the basics if they need the basics, but then I can also, really tailor what I mention in terms of my other offers. Not that I really spend much time pitching my offers or anything like that, but at the end I usually say, oh, like, if you have questions, just DM me on Instagram. Like, here's my Instagram. Or I have another free workshop you can watch over here, or something like that. Or if they're more advanced, I can let them know, oh, yeah, I do one to one work. Here's some like brief information. Again, very, very minor pitch of information, but it's important that I am aware of that audience. So that's the second thing that I want you to think about, is that audience. The third thing is, how can you cross promote your offers? So, for instance, we have a podcast, Facebook group, you have free opt ins, your one to one offers. Let's say you also have a course and a book. So, you have lots of moving pieces, right? So, how can you cross promote? And not just, I think when we talk about cross promoting, a lot of people will think, oh, like, I'll just talk about all my things on Instagram and Facebook, and that's cross promoting. No, how can you cross promote within these products? So on your Facebook group, you can, mention your podcast every week, or get people to join your email list, mention the course, whatever that is. Same with the podcast. Very easy to have a call to action to different opt ins, to your course, to your book, whatever. But even within the course, maybe you have a link to, in the second module, you're like, oh, I cover this in depth inside my book. Or I know a lot of courses will have like a resources section with, like, here's, popular tools, platforms, apps that people use. You could say, hey, I have my book that also covers this information. And same with, if you have a book, that's a really popular way that authors will grow their email list, is within the book. They'll be like, oh, I have a template for this. I have a checklist for this. Go to, and then put in a URL for, like, just hop over here. You can grab that. Because as an author who sells on Amazon, like, I have books on Amazon, I have no way of knowing who buys my book. Literally, I have no way of knowing, unless they actually just DM me or something. But I don't get to capture those email addresses. So by having a free resource that I mention in the book, then I can capture potentially some of those email addresses from customers who have bought my book. So think about how you can cross promote your things without social media, but within the actual products. This is also super easy to do with your free downloads. Usually, on the last page of your free opt in, you can put like a thank you, if you want to learn more, and then link to your social media, your course, your book, your Facebook group, whatever, so that people can connect and learn more. So think about how ways you can kind of drop links in a good way to get people to stay connected to you and learn more. Because that's what we want people to do. We want them to stay connected and keep learning from us and moving through our different offers. We don't want them to just download a free opt in and stay on our email list and that's it. We want them to also follow us, subscribe, buy things, whatever that is. So I know that juggling multiple things can be a little overwhelming. Like, how often do I promote my book versus my course, whatever. So hopefully, as you think about the order of which items you want people to move through your business, that will kind of help with that. But I know it also can be complicated to manage this in terms of your website. How do I market all of these things on my website in a way that makes sense and isn't confusing and doesn't clutter up my website and make it look like a total piece of crap with 17 different buttons and there's too many pages? I get that because I have a lot of clients who have multiple offers, multiple things to offer people to download, buy, join, subscribe. So I have a full, brand new, totally free workshop that you can watch on demand. And I'm going to teach you more in depth how to manage these multiple offers when it comes to your website. So if you're interested, you can just hop over to jesscreatives.com/workshop so you can learn more about how to juggle multiple offers when it comes to your website. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear it down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure and give it a thumbs up, and I will see y'all later.